Today we're learning Byom Ashtei, the Maamar that Rebbe said on his when he was 71, in 1971, going into 70th year, his birthday on Dalfin. We are on page 242 in Lessons in Maamar, chapter 8. Let's begin with the idea that the Rebbe will say now, which is something that he repeated throughout his lifetime. A saying of the Alter Rebbe, a very important saying, but the Rebbe gave it a certain twist. And each time that he said it, he kind of broke down more or less. It was very personal. That's the way we Hasidim took it. It's interesting, the saying is first recorded by the Rebbe's great-grandfather, the first Rebbe Nachum Mendel of Lubavitch at Tzemach Tzedek. In his Sefer Derech Mitzvah, the discourse is called Derech Mitzvah. But the Rebbe was the one who really took it and made of it an entire approach to life. So let's see what it says. For Yesh Loimar, we could possibly say, this idea that the smart, shrewd fellow chooses the king as his patron and not the deputies. And the reason for that is because he wants to be with the king. Right? Mark, being with someone special, just being with them, that is enough. Not what they say and not what they do. I mean, and that takes a very deep commitment to look at the inner dimension of the other. Because if you look at the external, you'll say, oh, this person has this, and she has this, and he has this. And sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't. In other words, the condition and externality of the other determines the relationship. For that, you don't need to be bright and smart. You just need to know what's going on. But when the Midrash says that the smart, shrewd fellow chooses the king over the deputies and the other machers, the emphasis is that he's smart, he's shrewd. Why does it take shrewdness and cleverness to choose a king over deputies? And the Rebbe explained, because they offer affluence, they offer money, they offer power, they offer prestige. Hang out with the machers, hang out with the big shots, and you'll become bigger. He's smart enough to realize that that's not where it's at. Even if it means just being with the king and being a schlepper. But I'm with the king. I'm with the king. So when I'm with the king, at the end of the day, I'm not a schlepper. I'm it. But I'm it because God is it. And that's not my thinking. Oh, I want to be with the king because I want to be a bigger macher, a bigger it. No, that's ego. I want to be the king. I want to be with the king. I don't want to be with the king. I want the king to take me into his circle. Let's go on in the text. This is the love expressed by King David in Tehillim, quote, the Mili B'Yashamayim, he says, who is into heaven, V'imcha lechofatzti. Whom do I have in heaven? But you. And besides you, I desire nothing. A very famous verse in Psalms. Quoting the Balatanya, the founder of the Chabad movement, the Alter Rebbe, in Yiddish. Ich will ze gar nicht. I don't want anything. Ich will nicht dein Gan Eden. I don't want your paradise. Ich will nicht dein Olam Haba. I don't want your world to come. Chuli, etc. Ich will mehr nicht as dichalein. All I want is only you. Very powerful quote from the Balatanya. And the Rebbe explains, Hagam shagiluyim shebegan Eden, although the revelations in paradise, and surely the revelations of the world to come, are very great, very admirable, very special. Vatmur azok in the Balatanya, the Alter Rebbe. Next page. He really understood that Isser. You and I, maybe not you, but I don't have any understanding what's going on in Gan Eden. The Alter Rebbe understood what's going on. You hear the word hasoga, not just belief. He knew and comprehended what's going on in paradise. That's what kind of tzaddik he was. Hasoga amitis, the Rebbe says. He had true knowledge, Menashe. Be'oifin sha'seichel misachit im hamaskil. In a manner that the mind united with the idea. The Alter Rebbe's human physical mind bonded with the ideas prevalent in Gan Eden. He got it, right? Afal became, nevertheless, the Alter Rebbe says, the Gan Eden, I don't want your revelations of Gan Eden, of paradise. And I don't want revelations of this world, of the world to come. What do I want? The only thing I want, hurak be'atzmus, dichalein, essence, transcendence. That's all I want. And we could add the ike hapikras bezeh, that the primary shrewdness, cleverness to this, that he doesn't want the deputies, meaning he doesn't want all these different levels. And also levels that go beyond the progressive worlds. Who the Hagam, this means the Hagam Shasfiras, next page. Although the spheres, the emanations, Meloshoin Sapirus Ubehirus. The Rebbe says there's an association between spheros, meaning emanations, and the word sapir, a shining stone, a sapphire, a brilliant stone. Ein mastirim aloirin sof. They do not hide the infinity of God. The bashbo shenimsheches al yedei hasviris hakelim, the effluence that comes through the emanations, the vessels of the emanations. Nirui begolui, one sees clearly. Shashbo hiloi masviris atzmon, one sees that the hashbo, the effluence, is not coming directly from the spheros, the emanations. Chas v'sholom. God forbid. They're no macher. They don't have free will. Elo shoirin sof. It's coming from God, who's mashpia al yodam, who sends the effluence through them. They're a filter. So is there? This is a general idea. That as great as we talk about the Kabbalah Chassidus, the spheres are only, at the end of the day, an intermediary, a filter. They have no say on their own to give or not to give. The Eibishter wants that the atzmos should go through ishtalshalus, i.e. the spheres, and come out in a way of chokhmah, bina, das, etc., etc. Is the spheres, and the Rebbe says, even more so when we talk about the lights, the energies of the spheres. Shal Yodam is Gala, next page, Ha'oyer Shalamayla Mehem. Okay, here's the point he's making. When you talk about the Kalim of spheres, the Kalim are already formed. It's a Kali. It's limited, a certain amount of space. So by the Kali of the spheres, you would think that the effluence coming from Ein Sof through the Kalim of the spheres adapts to the Kali, and the Kali has an opinion when to give the or. So we say no. So the Rebbe says, now Koshkein, when we talk about the or of the Sfiros, there's less of a reason to say that the Sfiros would have a say in the effluence. Umikoshkein, surely if you go higher, higher levels than Atzilus, right? The spheres begin, basic Kabbalah is in Atzilus. L'maylam and Atzilus, the concept of spheres is a different idea. So he says, if you go back, you go beyond Atzilus, these words are very important. Light, energy, can only reveal whatever there is within the possibility of the illuminary to reveal. Well, now, what does this mean? Hashem isn't restricted to light. When you talk about as Hashem, the creator, as the Ma'or, the illuminary, you are restricting him to illumination, to the realm of illumination. In other words, even the Ma'or, even the illuminary is a restriction, is a definition. And therefore, there are certain things it cannot reveal because it's not within the realm of illumination. So, for example, darkness, which is the opposite of illumination, even the illuminary can't deal with darkness. And to say that darkness is not part of God's plan is heresy. It is. And we see it every day. So what the Rebbe is saying here is, that this is brought in Chassidus of the other Rabbeim, that when we talk about the Or revealing the Shefa, we're talking about that aspect of the Shefa that lends itself to revelation through the Or. In other words, Or me'eina mo'or. The light is similar to the illuminary, to the place it comes from. But that itself tells you that it's only about light. There is the illuminary and there is the illumination. But both are restricted to illumination. That's what he says. Kol mokim, nevertheless, ein reitze behem. The pikach, the shrewd fellow, is not interested in this as well. Ele b'hamelech, he just wants one thing, the king. In the language of the Midrash, ano nosiv malka, I want as my patron the king. Shleima says the Rebbe, we could say, this is also the preciseness of the Alter Rebbe's words, ich will nicht dein Gan Eden, ich will nicht dein Olam Haba. Why does he use the word here, Isser, dein? He could have said, I don't want Gan Eden, I don't want Olam Haba. After all, it's not my Gan Eden or yours, Isser, it's Hashem's. So why the extra Yiddish word dain? Dain means your. It's self-understood. Gan Eden is God's. Olam Haba is God's, Mark. We know of Olam Haza. We know of this world. We don't know of the world to come. We don't know about paradise. That's not our reality. The Yiddish expression that the Alter Rebbe uses is, I don't want your paradise. I don't want your world to come. The Rebbe's emphasis now on the word your. It seems to be superfluous. And he explains that it's not. Why? Next page. Dein Gan Eden, dein Olam Haba, although when we talk about paradise and the world to come, it's self-understood that it's God's, not Yankee Doodle's. The noise of Lazesh Hagiluyim, the Gan Eden Udelim Haba Atzbom Heim Giluyim Nailim B'Yoser. The implication for the word Dain is that in addition to the fact that these levels, paradise and the world to come, are very great, very awesome. They reveal only what can be revealed from the illuminary. Nevertheless, the Alter Rebbe says, I don't want them either. The Alter Rebbe had a good understanding of these levels, and he said, I'm not interested in these levels. They're very sophisticated, they're very holy, they reveal so much of God, but I want God himself. I don't need manifestations. His only desire is God himself. Next paragraph. Yesh Leimar, we could say, top of 247, the paragraph, chapter 9. The Peter is there by no nosiv malka. This interpretation, in the words of the Midrash, I want as my patron, the king. She'eina reitze bahadargas the kedusha. He doesn't want the holy level shalamayla of above of heaven. Rather, he wants only one thing: the essence, atzmus. Peter's the no nosiv malka. We can reconcile and see a similarity between this interpretation of the Alter Rebbe and the interpretation in the Medrash that I just want the king, kipshutai, in the simple terms, I want the king, and I don't want those that worship the stars and the constellations. That these two interpretations have a connection one to the other. It be understood based on what we know, that the love that David HaMelech expresses, the Mili B'Shamayim, who is in heaven except you, and all I want is you and nothing else, that he doesn't want the manifestations of paradise. But David says, I just want the essence of God. Next page. Although in Gan Eden, he will remain in his existence. He won't be naught. He won't be non-existent. And in Gan Eden, as an existence, he'll have a comprehension and pleasure of divinity, of godliness. It says, what do the tzaddikim do in Gan Eden? They benefit from the ray of the divine presence. That means it's very delightful. Mashenkin, conversely, when you talk about the essence, there it requires a nullification, a subservience of your level. Nevertheless, since what's happening in paradise is only an emanation, which is ad infinitum compared to the essence of God, he chooses the primary thing, the leiba tofel, and not the ancillary thing. It will also explain the kasher who be beicher bagiluyim. When one doesn't choose the primary, but chooses the manifestations, the Gan Eden, shehem kilo choshev, they are like naught, in comparison legabe atzmos saying self baruch hu to the essence of Hashem. Bishvil halar garmei shaloi. This means, why is it like naught? Because this is like he's choosing for himself. He's choosing it for himself. You know why he chooses Gan Eden, sir? Because in Gan Eden he'll remain an existence. Next page. And he'll have pleasure from the ray of the Shechina. Says the Rebbe that this makes it possible through many degradations of the light of the it's possible that he will ultimately come to the following: that although he knows that the effluence coming from the 70 ministers comes from a place of death, canal safety, as we said at the end of chapter 5, nevertheless, Yirtze b'hashpah, he wants this effluence, yoser me'hashpah shebekdusha, more than the effluence coming from holiness. Because he wants to have an abundance. So he wants an abundance of nonsense versus being with Hashem. Similarly, we find the same mistake of those that worship the moon and the stars. That they think, next page, 250. They made an existence, an importance existence of the effluence. Or what was their mistake? That they believed, like we said in the beginning of the Maamar, that the effluence comes directly from them and they have a choice in deciding when to give it and how much to give. No, I'm sorry. The first thing is that you believe that they're deities. And even the second thing, even if you don't believe they're deities, you believe they're partners and they have a say in the matter. The fact that you want the manifestations of paradise, and not the essence of God, means you're giving credence, you're giving importance, chashivas, to something outside of the essence. It's possible that sensitive feeling will lead ultimately through many progressions, that you'll give ultimately, you hear that? Importance to the stars and the constellations. That you will come to the point where you will believe that they have a choice in regarding the effluence. The Yeseidim Mizu, you might even come to believe that they are deities. Not only are they not deities, but just have a choice, like I said, partners, they're actually deities, God forbid. Yeshla, he says, so we can add the Gamkin next page, that even when your perception of Gan Eden is that it's Dain Gan Eden, it's God's Gan Eden. In other words, the Gan Eden is very holy. Gam oz efshen shiyovim mizeh atois. The Rebbe says, nevertheless, there could be the mistake that will come forth from that thinking. Sheyesh lamakechov mazol is the day that the stars and the constellations have bechira choice, lashpia to impact. Va'ad lahatois, and to the point that you could make the mistake, shashpoi mehei matzim, that they themselves are deities. Mikivit shegam lefi tois zu, because according to this mistake, hakoyach sheyesh lem lashpia, the power that they have to be mashpia, to give, uleim etzad atzman, it's not because of themselves. Because Hashem appointed them to be the ones to allow the filter, their filters. Canal Sivkim, as we said before in chapter 3. In other words, Dein Gan Eden, your Gan Eden. The Alter Rebbe's words, your Gan Eden, that's the question here in the Maamar, emphasizes how lofty that feeling is, and nevertheless, the Alter Rebbe says, I don't want that. The Rebbe says here in this Maamar, a Chiddush, that even that's such a sublime feeling of your Gan Eden and your Eilam Haba could ultimately lead to believing that the star and the moon and the constellations are deities, God forbid, and even if not deities, partners. Because when you give credence to anything outside, an iota outside of the essence of God, you're already distant from God. Wow. And in order there shouldn't be any room, any place, that I want my patron to be the deputies, who al yedei, next page, that a person will arouse by himself a little minute feeling, so that every Jew has the ability, as we'll explain soon, not to want even your Gan Eden, thine Gan Eden, only you. That song that people are singing now. I don't want your Beckish, I want you. Right? The guy took it from the Alter Rebbe. He took it from the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe was the one that said, I don't want your Gan Eden, I don't want your world to come. All I want is you yourself. So this is a very, very, very important chapter. I want to read the summary here, and then we'll conclude. The statement, I will choose the king, is interpreted to mean, A, that the clever person does not desire the levels of holiness that exist in the spiritual realms above, but rather God's essence. And B, on a more basic level, that he does not serve the intermediaries that God has established to convey sustenance to the world, but he serves God himself. These two interpretations are interrelated. In both instances, the choice of something other than God is motivated by self-concern. The revelation of God's essence causes a person's existence to be nullified entirely. By contrast, when one chooses the revelations of God, of Gan Eden, he is doing so for the sake of his self-interest, or so that he can retain his identity and derive satisfaction from the radiance of the divine presence. As a consequence, the possibility exists that this will lead to the approach. You hear that? The possibility exists that it would lead to the approach that although the person knows that the largesse conveyed by the 70 patron angels comes from a place of death, he nevertheless desires the largesse more than deriving his sustenance from holiness, because in this manner he will receive greater abundance. He wants more and more and more. Similar concepts apply regarding the error of those who serve the stars and the constellations, because they consider them as significant entities. Here too, the mistaken perspective of one who desires the revelation of Gan Eden and not God's essence, that is, he considers something outside of God's essence as important, can ultimately lead him to consider the stars and the constellations as important and to think that they have free choice. Or it can lead to even greater error, thinking that the intermediaries themselves are the source of prosperity. Hevra, any questions? Otherwise, we'll see everyone tomorrow. Have a great day and stay safe. Sei gesund.